Good evening, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to News in Focus. My name is Faraz Patel. I would like to thank you, the viewer, for staying with us here on Hilaal TV, DSTV channel 347. We trust that you had yourself a fantastic Heritage Day. Now, Spain and Italy have sent naval ships into the Mediterranean Sea charged with protecting the Global Sumud Flotilla, which is carrying aid towards Gaza. Italy said that it is sending a second ship, while Spain said its navy will also act. Now, this comes as support from within South Africa has also increased, with the economic freedom fighters giving their support towards this initiative. Joining me now from the Greek territorial waters as they make their way to break the illegal Israeli siege, I'd like to welcome back Dr. Zaheera Soomar, who is, of course, one of the South African members on the Global Sumud Flotilla. Dr. Soomar, always good to have you. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah for having me.
No, absolute pleasure. Dr. Soomar, of course, at this very moment, the crew is on the Greek territorial waters. Just for maybe context-wise, how far is the the mission moving closer towards Gaza?
Yeah, we're about 520 nautical miles away from Gaza, about 5 days. Inshallah, if all goes well. That's where we are at the moment. We're actually off the coast of Crete at the moment. Yeah.
So, alhamdulillah. Dr. Soomar, let's of course touch on what we've been seeing now in this last few days, drone attacks, drone warnings. This decision by Italy and Spain to go ahead and protect the vessels, how significant is this? But also from a security perspective, how warming is it that two major powers like Italy and Spain have said, well, it is our duty to go ahead and protect the passengers on these waters?
I mean, look, I think that it's significant, right? If you look at the past flotillas that have sailed, it hasn't gone at this level of support in terms of countries sending their navy. And so that is a significant move. It is something that we do need. As you mentioned, 2 nights ago we've been seeing drones for the past couple of nights. You saw in Tunisia when the Spanish ships docked, we did have the 2 drone attacks. And 2 nights ago we did have 14 attacks, and 4 boats were kind of damaged in that process. And so it is significant. What role the Italian and Spanish ships play is yet to be seen. I hope that it's going to be protective, and it is going to be kind of Navy support, ships for us. And the coming days will tell what role they play.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Soomar, if you're listening to Pedro Sanchez, of course, the Spanish Prime Minister, he's made it quite clear that this is to protect the civilians that are on board, to protect the vessels that are there. So, of course, one would like to think that those words would, of course, heed in terms of the protection of these flotillas. Dr. Soomar, of course, while this is happening, we got the United Nations General Assembly that is occurring. And again, global condemnation to what Israel is doing right now in Gaza. It's quite clear. I mean, the last time we spoke, Dr. Soomar, the United Nations had not declared this as a genocide. Everything has now changed in this last week. So this makes this mission even much more fulfilling if it wasn't already that.
It does, exactly. There's been a lot of change that we've seen in the past week or 2 weeks, and I would say we could really call this mission successful because it's already changing political views. Pressure is being put on different governments, and governments are now acting, but it's still not enough. And so we do want to continue the mission. We do want to keep putting the political pressure. We do need to break that illegal siege. But yes, there have been some changes, political changes, which is great to see.
Yeah. Dr. Soomar, I want to touch on, obviously, the amount of vessels that are with you currently at this moment.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've seen, of course, with the Madeleine and other missions that had happened before, it was obviously one boat. When we spoke the last time, there was a lot of preparation that was going. But to see these vessels, this fleet, really making this mission, how warming is it, number one? And number two, how determined does it make this mission to go ahead and break this Israeli illegal siege?
It is. It gives us a lot of comfort. You know, when you're out in the water, I can't even imagine what the Madeleine and the Handela felt being a boat on its own. The comfort that you get from having other boats around you for support, for help, if there's any emergencies. There's a sense of solidarity. It really does bring a comfort that you are many at sea and you are many as a mission on sea. You know, it's a set of fleet and not an individual boat by boat. So it does bring a lot of comfort, confidence, etc. And then also it is going to set precedents, right? So we've already seen the precedents being set in terms of political views and what different governments are doing and coming to the table. It's also going to set precedents in terms of the reaction that we get from the Zionist entity, which is what we're trying to prepare for. So it's a beautiful scene. In fact, if you want to have a look, I can give you a view.
Yes, please. You're more than welcome to. Yeah, we'd love to have that, Dr. Soomar. And I think while of course you're talking through it, I mean, there we go on the Greek territorial waters. Dr. Soomar is just showing us, you know, some of the vessels that are part of this Global Sumud Flotilla. Do remember, of course, previous ones, the Handala, the Madeleine, were just one vessels. But what we're seeing now is this fleet that is going. And again, you know, Dr. Soomar, you know, we've spoken about it. You know, if the political figures are not going to act, you are the example right over there of how a normal citizen of the world is making such a huge impact. Okay, I think we've just lost Dr. Soomar. We hope to get her soon. Of course, she was just showing us, you know, the fleet, the vessels that are out there. I think we have Dr. Soomar back. Dr. Soomar, of course, you are on this vessel right at this very moment. If you could just maybe, you know, take us through the rest of the vessels that are in the waters currently, and, you know, just to talk to us about, you know, how important is it to have this collective, unlike what we saw, of course, with the Madeleine and the Handala.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly makes a difference, you know, when you're not one boat on the ocean and you have support. And it's not just the solidarity, but it's even just the confidence of if something goes wrong, if you run out of supply, if you run out of fuel, if there's an emergency, there are other boats. You have, you know, it is a very big comfort. We did go through a few days in the storm, and some of the boats suffered during the storm, and to know that there's many, many other boats that are there to assist, it just does bring a great sense of comfort and solidarity to this. And it does make you feel like, you know, the quote, and there's power and strength in numbers, right? And that's exactly what it is.
Dr. Soomar, for anyone, just to give context on the boat that you are currently, this isn't an MSC cruise ship. There's no, you know, there's no pools or slides or dining halls and that. Talk to us about the sacrifices that you as an individual and many others are making on this tiny boat, yet this boat carries so much of hope to the people of Gaza.
Yeah, I mean, the boats that we have are boats that are not in the best of shape. I mean, they are mechanically sound, but they absolutely, like you said, are not cruise ships. They are not luxury in any way or form. You know, we are over capacity in terms of what we have. The boat that I'm on at the moment is made for 6 people in terms of living, right? But we currently 12 people on this boat. So you take turns. There's rotations for when you sleep. There's rotations for night watch. The place that we eat at is the place that we sleep at. It's the place that we sit at. There's just no privacy, no space. I mean, I can show you. I've got on this upper deck, which is where I'm sitting. We've got lines hanging across with our clothes that we've been washing.
Yeah.
Each of us brought like 3 pairs of clothes, and we have to wash it every few days. And so there's no luxury on this boat. It is very basic, very minimal. And right now, as I'm speaking to you, some of the men on the board are having on the boat are having to fix things because there's things that need to be fixed. And you know, for example, we have a gas tank, a diesel tank on this boat at the back of our boat, which we have to be very careful about drone attacks, especially if we get an explosive drone. The whole boat was going to come up, right? And so this morning we had to take cupboard doors off the boat and build like a shelter for the diesel tank so that if a drone does land, it lands on a cupboard door, not a diesel tank. So there's a lot of makeshift things that are taking place. We're doing we're doing something serious on not so serious boats, if I can put it that way.
Dr. Soomar, all the best. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take you, not only the crew on your vessel, but the entire Global Sumud Flotilla safely, inshallah, into Gaza to deliver the necessary aid for them. Absolute pleasure having you on. I know we'll be keeping in contact. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
That's Dr. Zaheera Soomar, of course. She is part of the South African team of the Global Sumud Flotilla, speaking to us from her vessel, which is currently on the Greek territorial waters. After the break, we're going to be chatting with regards to the UN General Assembly. President Cyril Ramaphosa, well, did he deliver a stern enough message? Of course, his mic went off at the time when he was condemning Israel for the current genocide in Gaza. But of course, he spoke about reforms. He spoke about the current tariffs, which are being used, in his words, as a weapon for developing nations. I'll be chatting with UJ's Dr. Oscar van Heerden after the break.